Here's the 0-1. This is going to be a tough play. Bryant, the Cubs win the World Series. Bryant makes the play. It's over. And the Cubs have finally won it all. 8-7-10.
Welcome to Club 120. The ultimate roundtable for diehard Cubs fans and lovers of all things sports and lifestyle.
Strike three, you're out.
Hosted by Neil and Nate, two former baseball players and coaches turned loud mouths with strong opinions and even stronger banner. Get ready for quick-hitting, time-answer segments packed with wit, laughs, and the occasional heated debate. From analyzing Cubs on-field action to diving into off-field drama, no topic is off limits. So grab your glove, pour a drink, and pull up a seat at Club 120, where the banner's quick, the takes are hot, and the Cubs always come first. Let's get started.
Play ball.
Hello, Cubs friends. It's 120. You know what that means. Time to grab an old style and a bleacher seat. You're in Club 120. I'm Nate, and with me as always is a man who knows the only approved late summer slide is a slip and slide. Neil, what's on today's lineup card?
Oh, thanks, Nate. And as always, thank you to all of you who are taking time out of your day to listen or watch us. And however it is you consume Club 120, we thank you and we appreciate you. Oh, man. We got a lot to cover today, starting with the Cubs getting swept in Cincinnati and sliding at the absolute worst possible time. Then we'll move on to, is Horton Hurt? Is this an actual injury? Just a little Houdini rest before October? We'll run through the full health check and roster prediction updates on Tucker, Palencia, Amaya, and more. After that, flashing lights. Can you really just flip the switch and turn it on when October hits? We'll hit then we'll hit good news, bad news. Everybody loves a little good news paired with some bad news. The Padres have an all right-handed rotation, which sounds great if you're Michael Bush, until you remember that their bullpen is all lefties. And finally, our topic of the week, playoff prognosis. We'll look at other matchups, other races, and of course, give our Cubs playoff prediction. Let's kick it off, man. Let's swept and sliding. Where do we go from here, man? This is this September man, I can't talk today. Is this September turbulence or just a red flag October?
Well, I tell you, you said this, I don't know if it was in Arizona or maybe a first or second episode, somewhere in that early on. You said you didn't like the Reds matchup. You didn't like it at all. You were right. They've been a thorn in our side, even the games that we've won. I mean, think about those wild games in Cincy earlier in the summer. It wasn't great. The problem that I have with this, Neil, in this slide or just in getting swept, you know how hard it is to get swept in 4 games, in 4 baseball games. And we were mildly competitive, I would say. Now, it's the end of the season. We had a party before, et cetera, et cetera. The champagne clearly wasn't Corbell. But this Mets team isn't a good matchup either. So are we just playing bad baseball right now? Like, is this the confluence of bad timing, bad matchups, bad play? Is this who we are now? Are we the second half Cubs or are we the first half Cubs? And that's really what I'm left with as we are still sliding going into Wednesday's game.
You know, here's the thing. Like, you know, you and I obviously have constant dialogue during these games, and you know, Suzuki comes to the plate, and you're like, man, I really need to see him barrel one up right here, and you know, lazy ground ball into a double play, I believe, but then his next at bat hits one like 109 right up the middle, about takes the pitcher's head off. The problem is it's just not consistent, man, and that's the thing that's really driving me crazy right now. Is there is one piece of consistency on this roster, and it's Nico Horner, and we talked about him to exhaustion last week about how he's the only thing that the Cubs have going for them right now, and it's continued into this week. Like, there's not a bright spot, man. There's just not. Like, Ian Happ's still squaring balls up. He's not getting on base at a rate I would love, but he's still hitting the ball hard. He's putting the ball in plays, not striking out. He struck out twice last night, but
I got a question. Let me ask you this, just off the top of your head. I just for the sake of our fans here and our friends, when was the last time the Cubs played back-to-back good baseball games against a good team?
I want to say the Dodgers early in the season when they won that little 2-game series.
Okay, all right. So besides that, let me take you back to. Do you remember the doubleheader? Speaking of 2 games, do you remember the Milwaukee doubleheader? That was a good game. Those were 2 good games. Okay, so that's the last time I would say that they played back-to-back good games. But that's still not honestly good enough for playoff baseball, in my opinion. Let's take you all the way back to July 26th and 27th. That was the last time, Neil, that the Cubs scored 5 or more runs in back-to-back wins.
Okay, well,
They need a binder to understand that this team is not playing very good baseball.
No, and that's why I don't think, I don't think this is a blip. I think this is a collapse. Like, I think that's what this is. I don't think there's anything else we can call it. Like, there's a week left. Like, it's over. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they have the Mets and then they have St. Louis and it's over.
But we're in. So are we? But we're in. So let's just for the sake of we don't know what's coming next, right? We kind of know who we're playing, but the reality is this: there are 2 versions of the Cubs out there, and as we go through the rest of this show, it's going to come up in clear and apparent. But your general thesis right now on this team, like your thesis on this team is what? This team is first half Cubs or second half Cubs? What are they on Tuesday?
Yeah, and maybe I'm wrong, but I no longer believe that there's 2 versions of Cubs. I believe this is the Cubs roster. Like, this is who we are. It's been this way too long. Even the front half Cubs that we want to call it, we limped into the All-Star break. Like, it wasn't even a full first half. It was a first month and a half that really got it. I think at the end of May, April and May, we were 16 games up. We've at one point got to 20 games up, but never really.
No.
You didn't keep ascending. You just kind of plateaued from that point forward. And I think this is who we are. I really do. I don't think we're as bad as losing 5 in a row, but we're just not. We did a segment 2 weeks ago on run support, and that's just non-existent. Like, we don't support. It doesn't matter who. We were trying to tie who it is to what pitcher. Like, it doesn't matter who's throwing. We're going to score 1 or 2 runs, and that's it. So unless you're going to throw a complete game shutout, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So speaking of complete game shutouts, let's while this team's sliding, Cade Horton is dealing with his own bumps. What do you make of this, man?
Well, for the sake of keeping this nice and tidy, we said this last night, and you asked, is this an injury? And I said no. I honestly think that this is one of those. How can we get all of our guys a mini break? But we want to keep them on routine. Cade Horton doing Cade Horton things on his game day is important for Cade Horton's mental, right? Just like Shota or any of these starters, they have a routine that they need to be doing every 5 or 6 days, and in between that stuff too. So I think we're kind of in between where we got to win some games. Obviously, we can't be like the Brewers and just tanking. Get to that later. But I think they want them 40, 50 pitches, and then they want to reset the week. Because I don't believe they know who they're starting yet. I honestly don't. I think Craig is just beside himself right now because he wants to say the kid, but he can't. I want to say they pull him. They had a great opportunity to, and the bullpen just crapped the bed last night, honestly, man. And that was poor to watch because Cade did everything that he's been asked to do, including stamp a first game start, including last night, stamp a first game start against the Mets. That's all we needed to see. I hope that it was just a Houdini deal. I really do. Are you fearful that there's more there? Is he breaking down here now that he's gone over all of his innings that more than he's ever done in the last 3 years?
Look, man, this is weird stuff. Like a couple weeks ago, it was a blister under his fingernail. Now they're saying it's a back. But I'll be honest with you, I have zero faith and trust in Cubs medical. So I don't know if we're being told the truth. I don't know until there's a complete turnover in that staff if I will believe anything that ever comes out of Taylor McGregor or Elise Miniker when they're given the sideline report, because for the longest time, Kyle Tucker wasn't injured, and then all of a sudden his hand was broke. So, and I'm not saying that they're lying. I'm saying that the information that they are given is not true, is not accurate.
Right.
So, I don't know, man. I hope you're right. I hope it is. We're just going to try and get him some rest, and we don't want to come out and say that he's the game one starter because we don't want that game plan to start happening. But at the same time, we got to have some sort of vague reason why he only threw 29 pitches. Right. So we'll just say he's dealing with a back issue. I hope that's right. I would like to think Craig is playing that level of chess, but anything I've seen out of Craig, I don't believe that either. So,
all right. So one question as we leave this one. Let's say everyone's healthy. You got all your horses. You only have 2 guaranteed games. This is a 3-game series, best of 3. So who is your game 1 and 2 starters?
If everyone's healthy, Horton is game 1 and Boyd is game 2.
I like it.
And I say I put Shota for the maybe if there's a game 3. And I turned some of these other starters into bullpen guys.
Yep. I believe it. So I think that's the shortest way. I think we'll get to some roster stuff later, but I don't think we're going to see as many pitchers as we think. In this first round, I think he's going to have a lot of hitters to match up. He's got 26 guys, and he might only need 11 arms. So I think there's probably 2 extra hitters, maybe a Casey or a Ballesteros type of guy that's going to get in there and maybe have a chance to have some impact. It's going to be really exciting. But I do agree. I think Horton has stamped his way, if he's 100% healthy, to be the game 1 starter. And I think, Boyd has carried this roster for a very long time through all of that, including Horton growing up right next to him. Right. So let's ride with it and let's see what happens on Tuesday.
Okay. So Cade Horton's not the only question mark, right? Let's check in on the rest of the roster. Yeah. The next topic is health check and roster predictions. Tucker, Palencia, Amaya. Do you take risk on half healthy players, or do you just reward the steady depth guys?
Right. We do have roster limitations, so that makes it tough. And a couple of these are, I don't know. I don't say a couple. I think one really is. Let's knock one out. And there's one that's not coming back, I don't believe, based on what Craig just said. Ryan Brazier, Cubs manager Craig Counsell said, quote, "The team is still weighing the next step for the veteran after his minor league stint with AAA has now ended." Translation, he's not making this postseason roster. So he's probably over in Arizona doing his thing, or he might be a free agent after this year or whatever, but that might be happy trails to Ryan Brazier. Now, let's get to the guys that might have some things here. And we already know, and this hasn't been announced yet, but we probably should see this either maybe in the next couple of hours here on Wednesday. Danny Palencia should be activated. Looks like he's good to go get 3 outs anytime Craig calls. Are you ready to see Danny P back on the bone?
Absolutely. After what I saw last night in the first game against New York, I am absolutely ready to see Danny Palencia. I don't care if it's the 7th inning, the 8th inning, or the 9th inning. I just want somebody to go out there and shove and get 3 outs and quit pitching around guys and trying to be so careful that we give up 400-foot fly balls.
Yep. Let's get to the other one and then a longer discussion. But this one I think is called a 50-50. Miguel Amaya was back in Wrigley yesterday. But I believe he's heading back out now to Arizona, is what I'm hearing, for some more at-bats this week to try to see if he can be running full out. Because the last I've seen, as far as the video highlights, there's not a lot of sprint, and he wasn't really a sprinter to begin with, Neil. So this is back to your first question. Would you take an 85% Miggy, or would you like Reese McGuire on the roster no matter what?
Oh man, so that's tough. I said from the beginning I'd like to see all 3 catchers on the roster. We had 3 catchers when we won the World Series in 2016, so I wouldn't mind to see 3 catchers. So I don't think it's an either or between those 2. Although I don't think Santana's going anywhere, because why would you sign that veteran if you're not going to have him in the World Series? So probably is McGuire who's the odd man out in that situation. Mm-hmm. However, I do not. I would not trade Reese McGuire for an 85% Miguel Amaya. And I'll be honest with you, I know we're going to talk about this big fish next, but my opinion is the same with Miguel Amaya. If I don't see you before the first game
Mhm.
against St. Louis on Friday,
Yeah.
then I don't want to see you next week.
Okay. So I was going to go for a previous question, but that kind of leads me to this. So would you support giving Miggy another week? And would you like to see him in round 2 if that was a possibility? Would you entertain that given what you just said? If you can't play by the last series of the season, does that mean he's not going to you don't want him on the roster at any point in time? Because they can make adjustments.
Look, man, that's a question I hope we get to answer.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now, the way we're playing, we're going to be one series and done.
Right.
But I mean, honestly, I hope that's a question we have to answer. I hope we run into a situation where we have too many guys. Like, we got too many guys that can produce. What are we going to do? Like, because right now that's not the situation. Right now we have too many guys not producing, and
Yeah.
too many guys that can't produce because they're either hurt or they've.
Yeah.
We're making up injuries at this point. I don't know what we're doing, but I hope.
Yeah, I could see this Amaya making the roster right away, but only in a pinch hitting role. Like the energy guy come in, you know what I mean? Because he's not stealing any bags. Never was he, right? But in a playoff role where he's not the starting catcher that night, he would be a pinch hit option anyway. So if he's healthy enough to get the barrel through the ball, back to your point, to lean on that a little bit, if he can produce, my goodness, please be on this roster, right?
Okay, well, let me ask you this before we jump into the one guy that we're in this in this topic to talk about. Before we talk about him, let me ask you this: would you rather have someone like an Alcantara on the roster that can steal a base, or a third catcher?
Oh man,
because none of those 3 catchers are stealing a bag.
No. I think what Craig alluded to in his interview with carrying maybe 1 or 2 less pitchers opens the door for Amaya and a guy like Alcantara, or I believe they've signed Billy Hamilton, if you remember that name. He's been down in Iowa, basically. I don't know if they're using like this like showcase rule where he gets to like pinch run for everybody on first or something. I don't know. I would do that in a showcase at times to make catchers throw out, but it seems like he's running basically every night for Iowa, even though he's not playing every day.
Oh, he's still in second and third every time he gets on.
Right. So I think there's a roster space for that guy because, quite honestly, the Cubs don't have that. PCA's that, but he's playing every day. So coming off the bench after a pinch hit like from an Amaya or a McGuire or a Kelly type of thing, absolutely. That flexibility is going to be very interesting to see how the Cubs manage going forward with that catcher deal. Let's get to it, Neil. Let's get to the real big fish here. Kyle Tucker, do you believe he's going to be ready and available for I guess right now, probably tracking for the St. Louis series? Will we see any at-bats from Kyle Tucker the rest of the season?
I don't think so. I think the most positive information we got yesterday was he didn't even have a bat. I think he pretended to swing in the cage and then jogged down the first, and his feedback was it's progressing in the right direction. And that he's like, they made a big deal because he went all the way to first and actually stepped on a base for the first time. Like,
wasn't he running drills before he left for Tampa? Wasn't he running like outfield drills?
I don't know. That's the thing. Like, he's progressing in the right direction. Okay, great news. That to me says he's not playing next week.
How have we this so poorly, Neil? I know we're going back to Cubs front office and information delivery and dissemination, if you will. How do we miss this so far from how he's day to day to he might not play the rest of the season, and that means 3 weeks?
Yeah, because I think he has different rules than anyone else, is what I think. I think we are letting him call the shots. He's the tail that's wagging the dog. He is in a contract year, and we care so much about him being able to, and maybe we don't. Maybe he does. Maybe that's the problem, is we're letting him call the shots, and he's got an agent in his ear saying, hey, look, man, if you're not 100%, don't get between those lines because you're only going to make it worse. And your value so far from June until now has plummeted.
Yeah, from the 10-year $475 the Cubs offered leaving Mesa.
Yeah, like,
after having hit, like you didn't have a hit the entire spring, and the Cubs were still like 10 for $475. What do you think?
Like I said, I've said it before. I'm out on Kyle Tucker. I don't think Kyle Tucker plays in the playoffs. I really don't, unless we get some different kind of news today. But Bruce on Marquee yesterday acted like that he swung, ran to first, touched the bag, and said he's progressing in the right direction. That's not enough for me. And if he's just going to DH, I'm not interested. Although I will say Suzuki made a play last night in the field.
Yep.
Kyle Tucker doesn't catch that ball, healthy or not.
What about Owen Casey?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen enough of Owen. I think Owen's reckless out there. I like it. I think he reminds me a little bit of PCA. He'll throw his body around. I think that's why he's not here. I mean, he got hurt throwing his body around.
He's still showing some signs of that concussion. It would be interesting to see if he starts flickering, if Craig gives him any, if he's back this weekend, that if Kyle is not available, there's going to be another left-handed bat that's going to need to stand up. And whether that's through pinch hitting roles or anything else, right? Like that's going to happen. So, hopefully Owen's there.
So all of this just assumes that these guys can just flip a switch when the lights come on, and that's our next topic, flashing lights. Is flipping the switch real or just a myth that fans tell themselves?
We've both been a part of this as players and coaches. We feel how this works. People say momentum isn't real or momentum is everything. There's ways to be on both sides of this fence. Flipping the lights on and off, that's what this team really is, Neil. It's like remember when your kids were just tall enough to reach the light switch the first time? And then they saw your face. Then they saw your face, right? And then they flipped it off and then on. And then they realized that there's power there. That's what this team has. Like when PCA did that whole thing for 2.5 months, it was like, holy cow, look what I can do. It was like that scene in Bull Durham where Nuke LaLoosh just stops thinking for one pitch and he throws just a dime, right? A dot. He's like, oh my God, what did I do? I feel like that's what we've been doing. This whole second half is just the crappy part, the thinking part. We think too much. I hope that we've become wise enough that we can harness that at some point, but we're still flickering it right now, Neil, and I don't know if we can turn it back on in time for the playoffs.
No, and here's what I got for you. So do the Cubs even have that switch? They do, but I'm going to explain to you how the Cubs switch works. So the high school that my kids go to is they just put in a new football stadium like 2 or 3 years ago, right? And they score touchdowns and the lights blink and flicker and all this stuff. Wrigley's the same way. They win again, the lights go out, they come back on, they flicker, everything's fun. It's all, they flash the W on the lights, all that stuff. That's new technology. Because you and I both grew up playing on fields that if the lights went out, it was 30 minutes before them suckers came back on.
Right? Yeah.
And that's the Cubs. They're going to flip that switch, but nothing's going to happen. Like, just because you flip the switch doesn't mean that you're instant offense, that you're instantly on. You're going to flip the switch, and you got to wait 30 minutes for that filament to cool back down so that it can heat back up. And that's what we're looking at here.
But we've been off for so long.
Right? Like, it's got to come back on at some point.
I feel like they can just, once it comes on, is it one of those things where, this team is just so streaky but they've been shown that they've been streaky for not just a couple of games, but like months at a time. If this thing comes back on, is that not the scariest probability for the entire league at that point?
I mean, hey, at one point we were the best team in baseball.
Well, this team is scary good. They're equal parts scary and good. And that's the problem, is that they're not really scaring opponents right now usually. And that's it's a wild, electrifying combo to be scary and good at the same time. Yeah.
Scaring the hell out of the fan base is who they're scaring right now. But speaking of lights, let's talk about the Padres and their strange mix of good news and bad news. Our next topic is good news, bad news. Good news is the Padres have all right-handed starting pitchers. Cue Michael Bush's intro music. Bad news is their bullpen is a lot of lefties and a lot of gas. Which is more important in October, starting matchups or bullpen battles?
I think we grew up in an age, Neil, where our starters were also our World Series closers, and we liked it. Like we liked that Randy Johnson and Kurt Schilling came out of the pen for the D-backs back in the day, and that any one of these guys could start a game and they're back for game 6 or they're closing game 6, and they'll port Max Scherzer and things like these. We grew up on that old school deal. Now they reverse that. I think the binders, all these teams have these binders and they play matchups, and 3 outs are worth more than 3 outs sometimes, I think, honestly. And that's why they employ these specialists. We see it with a guy like Caleb Thielbar and his ability to do that in our own bullpen. I love from this Padres matchup for us, Neil, I love that it takes the binder lineup out of Craig's hands. I hate that it means these pinch hitters are going to enter in the 3rd to 5th inning and they're going to finish the game now.
Yeah.
So my question is this, and I think this is going to be the theme for the week, and we can leave it out there and see, but we're going to see, this is a test here of how much Craig trusts these guys or he trusts his binder, because there's going to come a gut call in the 4th inning of game 2 where they flip to a lefty to face Michael Busch for his second at bat in the 4th inning. And Craig's going to have to make a decision and that's where we're going to have that problem. Matt Shaw's in the same boat. He's going to end up there's probably going to be some of that there. Is Craig a disciple of this, his binder, or are we going to see some gut check moments from Craig coming up?
Yeah, that's what I'm excited to see, because the playoffs are unlike anything else, right? Like, the playoffs are a different beast. You don't let pitchers get through the bad inning. Like, and you use your bullpen different than you have, because there is no tomorrow. I mean, game 1, there's a guarantee of tomorrow.
Right.
But everybody in that bullpen can throw 2 days in a row.
Yep.
So it's all hands on deck for game 1 and all hands on deck for game 2. And if you lose game 1, you're just hoping to God that there's a game 3.
Right.
So I think it's different. I don't think your starters in it. You'll see these guys. You and I have talked about it ad nauseum, and you have tweeted about it. You have texted about it, and you're that if you were coaching against the Cubs, I would call guys up from AAA and throw nothing but left-handed guys at them, because they're so much better against right-handed pitching. So I don't. And listen, they may have went through a rough stretch over there. They may be paying way too many stars in San Diego. But I'm here to tell you, their coaching staff knows that the Cubs cannot hit left-handed pitching. So I don't look to see their starters go past 4 innings ever. Like, I think they may throw the first 4 innings, or they may just get the ball. Their starters may just become openers.
Yeah, throw them until it's trouble,
Like,
or early trouble. I mean,
like you may see or just one time through. Like, you're going to face 9 hitters, and then you're going to come sit down.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad philosophy if you're on that side.
No, not when you're rolling out those guys. You know? You're rolling out those guys. So are you? It's the theory is, are you taking your chance on pitches 75 to 100 from your starter, or pitches 1 to 20 from a guy who throws 100, or he's left-handed and you have 2 lefties in an inning, right? It's just matchups at that point, and they went out and spent, and they built it around that. They have good starters. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're not bad, but they're stressed. Their starters are not stressed.
So I got a question for you, and I'm gonna ask the question, then I'm gonna give you my answer, and then I'll let you answer after that. So, Would you rather face a great rotation with a bad bullpen, or vice versa? And I have 2 different answers. During the regular season, I would rather face a bad bullpen. Or no, I'm sorry. I'd rather the bad starters, because you're going to see them longer. During the playoffs,
right,
a good bullpen's going to win you the series.
Yeah. Given this Cubs offense, that's kind of death to us. We don't take advantage. We don't make big innings too much. We don't have a lot of crooked innings these days. So anybody's ability to limit the Cubs' damage batter to batter is massive that's a kryptonite for us. And they have it. They're going to probably have 4 lefties out there. And it's just, you're going to see them. Who do I want? I think I'm the same, because these managers are going to jump to the bullpen. So yes, I would rather see a bad bullpen in the playoffs. I really would, because you got a chance. Whenever you're seeing guys throwing 98 to 100 and 3 to 4 matchup lefties, that there are going to be 9 to 12 outs that are just absolutely taken away from you, because you can't touch them. They have something that this batter can't touch.
Okay, so that brings us to the big one, the playoff prognosis. Is this Cub team built for a deep run, or are they just happy to be here?
It's probably the best definition of where we sit today, Neil. 5 or 6 games left in the playoff. Are we happy to be here, or are we built for a deep run? That's all we've been talking about for the last 35 weeks. We've come to this culmination. This team feels like it's the oops, we got too good too soon. It's all the kids arrived about the same time, and we're going to see a wave of more of them next year, I think, with Wiggins and a couple other guys pushing the door open. But it feels like that team that is kind of happy to be here, and then you get dumped early. This is the team that kind of gets dumped early because you're sloppy, you're unprepared for mental and physical playoff baseball. That's what it feels like. For the last 2 months, that's what it's felt like. But, Neil, I didn't come this far to be pessimistic, but I'm sorry. I didn't. I really believe that this team has the talent and ability to flick that switch on one more time and put one series under their belt and let it run. And that's what I'm saying. I believe it. We didn't come all this way, Neil, to be 2 in a barbecue. We didn't. So give me the Cubs in 3, and let's come back next week and let's do a full playoff show. What do you say?
No, I listen, here's the deal. The only thing that's really up in my crawl at the moment is here we sit with 5 games left and a real possibility to still not get to 90 wins.
Wouldn't that be something?
The deal was we got to be a 90-win team. All you kept hearing all offseason long is we have to build a 90-win team. We are staring down the barrel of not making it to 90 wins. We're going to get into the playoffs by the skin of our teeth, but we might not make 90 wins. Like we've got 5 left. What is it? 5? Is it 5 left? Yeah, 2
Yep.
against 2 against the Mets, 3 against St. Louis. And I saw this today. I didn't know this. St. Louis, oddly enough, is still not mathematically eliminated.
Okay.
So the Mets are,
on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I mean by the end of today they could be eliminated. But the Mets have everything to play for. Like if Cincinnati, I mean, how great is that? We leave freaking town, Cincinnati loses to the freaking Pirates.
And they get skis tonight too.
If Cincinnati wins and the Mets lose, they flip-flop again. I mean, we're in a situation where, I didn't think it was Milwaukee. I'll be honest, I didn't see Milwaukee on my radar at the beginning of the year. I thought it was going to be us in Cincinnati, and here we are. Cincinnati's fighting for that third. We're looking at a situation where 3 Central Division teams are in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And 2 Central Division teams at one point in the year had the best record in baseball. The Cubs earlier in the season, before the All-Star break, and now the Brewers have the best record in baseball now. And that's amongst all leagues. So, here's the thing. We played the Central Division. We've ran the gauntlet. I think we won every division series except for the Reds. I don't think we beat them. I think because they swept us there at the end, I think they own that series. But man, before we jump back on playoff predictions here, do you want to talk about any other matchups around the league?
Well, sometimes I feel like we do get in a bubble. But there is that 3-team race now that the Mets are kind of sliding into and don't look now, folks, but the D-backs are also there. So the D-backs and the Reds are now tied 1 game behind the Mets. It doesn't do a lot for us, that matchup. as far as the Cubs are concerned, because that's the 6th seed, and which means it's going to the other half of the bracket, which means the Reds, D-backs, or Mets would have to run the table to be in the National League Central or Championship Series, where we could potentially meet anybody over there. So it's interesting. The other bigger one, honestly, for me, Neil, is and this is both teams, and this is maybe something that we could pin about and talk about in the offseason, but the addition by subtraction. The D-backs have made a run since making their trades, and Cleveland has been making a run since they made their trades. Is there something to that where you can get better by trading your better or best players?
Obviously there is, and I think you are alluding to maybe a great off-season topic, but I think, I think sometimes the best move is, to me that gives that gives the guys in your clubhouse like kind of a chip on their shoulder, like they sold at the deadline, and these guys don't think we can win.
Manager walks in the clubhouse, throws a few things around, dog cusses the general manager in front of the team, right?
Well, and I don't think it's just that though, but I think it's there's a real fear that kicks in when they kind of blew us up at the deadline. This reeks of rebuilding in the offseason. Am I going to have to find another job? And if I do have to find another job, I better start putting up some numbers that make me attractive somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like, so I think it's a team thing where, what you're saying, the coach comes in and says, hey, these guys don't think you can win. And you rally around each other. But I think internally you're kind of thinking, okay, well, maybe I don't fit in this organization either. Like maybe at the end of the year, they're going to move on from me. So not only as a team do we need to rally around ourselves and pick up the pieces, but man, if I want to continue playing the game that I love, then I better start putting up some numbers.
Yeah. So with those guys and with those teams, the last couple matchups still need to be set here, Neil. So I think we've got pretty much everything there. So who takes the 6th seed in the National League?
I think the Mets do.
Okay. And do the Cubs hold on to the 4 seed and host a series at Wrigley?
Yeah, we're going to sweep the Cardinals.
Okay. So we got a big week of baseball ahead of us.
Absolutely.
And that's – I put the bunting out last night. I just want to let you know that. I sent you a picture.
I saw it.
I'll post it. Wrigleyville, Texas is ready. We were ready last night. I put that thing and 6 runs went on the board. I don't know about the bullpen. I have no idea what's wrong with the phone down there, but I put the bunting up. I'm ready. I'm locked in. I'm ready to go. Neil, I said it earlier, but this is give me a Cubs in 3. Bring on the Padres. I want that matchup. It's a clear path. I like this path. I like the Padres coming to Wrigley, and I like the Brewers waiting for us. I want nothing more than the Brewers in the second round. But first, we got plenty to do. We got plenty of stuff to chew on this week, right? We don't want to be 2 in a barbecue right now. It's Cubs in 3 for me. What do you say?
I just got an email that said my playoff tickets have arrived in my ticket account. I just hope to God that I get to use them, because I don't get to use them if we're not playing at home.
That's right.
So I am rooting like hell for these last 5 games for us to get some W's. I don't know I think that magic number is still 4.
Still 4.
So, but if we win and they lose, that cuts that in half. So, but I think the Brewers are kind of hoping. I think the Brewers are kind of helping them out right now. So we'll see. So that's it. That's it for us. It's time for some playoff baseball. By the time you hear from us next time, we will be in the midst of playoffs. So we'll see. That's all for us. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Go Cubs, go.
Go Cubs, go.
This has been Club 120. Neil and Nate have practically spent their entire lives doing something centered around baseball. And with these guys, you're going to get quick-hitting, time-answer segments packed with wit, laughs, and, yes, heated debates. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, you can find us on all social media platforms at Club120 Show. And of course, the website at www.club120show.com. Until next time, go Cubs, go!